Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It is another GMCCI advocacy podcast, Meet the Candidates. My name is Tony Loconsole with Muscatine Power and Water, MPW, and I am delighted to have another guest with us today, or this evening, depending upon when you're seeing it. That is Mason Kopf, who is here. And Mason, thanks for taking the time, first of all.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we're going to start with introduction. So we'll let you introduce yourself, a little bit of your background, any connective tissue to the school district, and then what motivated you to decide to run for Board of Education.
Yeah, so I grew up here in Muscatine, of course. Went to school, kindergarten through graduation. And just kind of the personal connection was I was not the best student. I just didn't like going to school. I didn't find it appealing to me, to be honest. And so fortunately, in high school, I was able to attend East Campus.
Okay,
So
I remember
you're familiar
East
with
Campus.
East Campus?
Yeah.
Okay. So we had teachers that, since my attendance was so low, that's kind of how I got brought down there. I was falling behind, and so the teachers, they kind of made education personalized through just different opportunities, hands-on, stuff like that. And so I strongly feel without programs like that, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. And I, like I said, I confidently feel that because I'm a first-generation college graduate, just finished my bachelor's degree, currently working on my master's degree. And so it's just, that. And then I was a para for a while. And now that I'm with United Way, I'm able to be in the community a lot more. I'm able to do things like this and have it kind of a little more integrated into my life. And I love the community interaction. So
That's great. Yeah, so just a little sidebar for those that don't know, because I want to make sure people are informed. East Campus was an alternative learning option for students. And it was at the old Garfield School, right?
yeah, it was
Is that
at
correct?
Garfield. The first year I was there.
Okay.
And then the second year I was there, it was out at MCC.
Okay.
And then the program
Yeah.
kind of closed.
Okay.
And so
But that is good to hear. And I will just share this as a personal inflection. So when I started my sophomore year of high school, I grew up in Oak Park outside of Chicago. My grade point average was like 1.8 at the start of sophomore year, which isn't good. Even someone who's not good at math knows it's not good. And I had a sophomore English teacher, shout out to Mr. Peter Kahn, who I am still in touch with, who literally changed my life. Graduated with like a 3.2, went to college, first in my family, St. Ambrose, was going to be a high school English teacher. Paths changed, very happy with where I'm at. But I can echo a little bit of, sometimes it is those people that can really make the biggest difference. And I just hadn't heard of East Camp. Nobody mentioned East Campus in a while. And I was like, I remember that program. Shout out to Chase Ryan, who went to East Campus and was like an intern for me at the radio station 100 years ago. All right, enough about that. We're going to get into the questions. As I mentioned with some of the other guests, candidates here have received questions ahead of time. We've got 10 of them, and we're going to roll through these with Mason. We'll start with number 1. So, Mason, what do you see as the most critical challenge facing Muscatine schools, and how would you address it if elected to Board of Education?
So the schools are doing amazing things. It's all positive for me.
Sure.
When you look at it more in like deeper lens, you dive a little bit deeper, there's just a couple things that I think would help. One, of course, being proficiency rates, reading, math, science, stuff like that. And they are increasing, which is, good.
Yeah.
Because if you're not proficient, you're not successful. And so being able to get those students up there, I think that's the most challenging thing, just because there are so many diverse learners, like me, for example, So just like within that, it's being able to identify a curriculum that's able to adapt to that, to support the diverse learning, but then also just like the chronic absence going on.
Sure.
I mean, it's not bad, but
Sure.
it's definitely something to pay attention to, because last I looked, there was roughly 500 students that were chronic absent, which means that they're missing more than 10% of school. And so when they're not digging into going to school, then they'll fall behind, and that helps. That could be a potential factor for the proficiency rates. But you know, there's many factors that go into it, and so.
Sure. Yeah, I'm glad you brought up attendance. It's definitely one of those things that, as someone with 3 kids enrolled in the school district, I know my kids do the best when they're at school. And we try as a family, just as an aside, this is just me, to get our kids there, with the exception of when they're sick, of course, because it is so important. Our second question is, Mason, how will you ensure that all students, regardless of background, have access to quality education?
So everybody learns differently. Education is not a one-size-fits-all, and that's my biggest preach. So it's kind of just reviewing data, just reviewing everything that's going on to determine what there is a lack of. And so, like, to help ensure that is by looking at that data, being able to track exactly which students, the series, because you have ELL, gifted learners, students with 504s, IEPs, stuff like that, that they're all going to learn in different ways. And so no matter their background, no matter their opportunity, figuring out ways to just kind of help bridge that. And so I think if we're able to offer professional development to teachers, which they do, but if we encourage it a bit more, they'll be able to identify and support those students within their diverse learning. But then also just like partnerships within the community can also have a big influence. Because that was kind of my big thing when I was at East Campus, was the community involvement helped me hands-on better understand exactly where I'm going to apply what I'm learning. And so I think that's the best way to reach all the students, like within their backgrounds, regardless of what it is. It's about accommodating. So
you kind of alluded to this a little bit with just leaning into some of the professional development. And our next question is, what is your approach to supporting teachers and staff within the Muscatine Community School District?
So I think the biggest thing is like identifying, like, teachers are very important. And, you know, like the work that they're doing every single day, because at the end of the day, the students learning today are going to be tomorrow's leaders. And I think it's important for people to like understand that to its full extent. And so just like being able to support them is going to make the big influence. So providing like resources, time for collaboration and planning to make sure that they kind of polish down to the details, to evaluate things on what's working and what's not, as well as just like mentorship programs. I know a lot of my friends are new teachers or within their first couple years. And, you know, a lot of them are very grateful for programs that allow them to connect with seasoned teachers and use their techniques, their skills, and to learn from them, because it's all about continuing to learn no matter how old you are. And so being able to like support teachers just through their like professional growth, even conferences, stuff like that, to keep educating them.
That's good. I think that's a good thought. My wife is in her second year teaching preschool, and she is part of is it New I can't remember what it's called. Muskie mentoring, something like that. And it's nice to know that is out there for those younger teachers. Our fourth question for Mason is, how would you promote transparency and community engagement in school board decisions?
So, big person on open communication. I just being able to talk with the board, the community, discuss what's going on, and make sure it's clear and backed by reason. And so within that is, it builds that transparency, explains the reasoning, stuff like that. But then also it gives you the chance to talk to the community as well as other partners to gauge like their understanding on what's happening. Because within all of that together, especially open communication, is it just builds general trust. And when you have general trust, then everybody works perfectly together. So I think that's the best way to put it, is just that very open, clear, taking out all the filler per se, and kind of making it a little cut and dry.
Yeah, good. Just a reminder, you're watching the GMCCI Advocacy Podcast, Meet the Candidates, with Mason Kopf, who is here trying to get elected to the Muscatine Community School District Board of Education. Election has opened, and then Election Day, of course, is November 4th. Our fifth question already, halfway there. Holy moly, time flies. What role should the school board play in shaping curriculum and educational priorities, Mason, when you think about it?
I think that any school board person or anybody thinking about running, is they just have to remember that the priority is the success of students. So keeping that close and dear to your heart when it comes to like allocating the resources to be able to cover and support curriculums, materials, development stuff, especially with policies comes another thing. Policies play a big factor within the education system. And so being able to work through that stuff, better understand it, and make sure it's a priority. Just as well as just monitoring like the outcomes, watching the data, watching the performance of students. That will also always allow you to make improvements as you go. And then just kind of like engaging with students, staff, community members on the curriculum, the policies, because they're the ones experiencing it firsthand. And so being able to get their opinion allows you to make a better judgment on how to support them. And at the end of the day, it's about supporting them. And that should be the sole focus, because at the end of the day, it's all about ensuring that every student is a success story. So
I agree. How do you plan, and you've alluded to this, how would you plan to collaborate with fellow board members, administrators, and families?
Once again, it's all about the communication. You know, talking with them, listening to fellow members, teachers, staff, families, stuff like that. Encouraging the feedback, encouraging the dialogue, allows you to work better. But then also like understanding and respecting the expertise of people. So for example, you know, a classroom teacher is going to have a better perspective than I might. And so being willing to hear what they have to say, administrators, students, especially the community, a lot of the parents out there, hearing what they have to say, because they're looking at it also in a different lens. And so just putting all that together to focus on the shared goal in mind, because everybody wants their kids to be successful. Everybody wants to graduate. Everybody wants to keep going. So
yeah, very well said. That's the goal, right? Is to get them to that diploma, and then whatever they decide after that point, you feel good about them having gotten to there from preschool all the way up. Mason, what is your vision for improving school facilities and learning environments?
Good question. I think just kind of making it a very shared space for collaboration, planning, stuff like that. I know, like, I was at Jefferson when I was a para, and so we had a lot of space that allowed for that to happen. And so it allowed students to just work together, stuff like that, which makes it very safe, very welcoming. And that's kind of like really important in the overall learning environment, as well as like flexible learning environments. So like there's a handful of classrooms that are smaller sized. There's some at the end of the hall, like a table with chairs. And so it's like, depending on what's going to help the student is important within the infrastructure of the schools and the learning environments. So
It's good. How would you approach, this is one of those questions as not a math person. I'm glad I'm not sitting in your chair. How would you approach budgeting and financial oversight for the district? Because it is a large entity with hundreds of employees and various types of funds. And when you think about that question, Mason, how would you approach that budgeting and financial oversight in that board role if elected?
So I'm kind of glad I'm at the right moment in my master's, because this is what we're doing is we're going over
Nice.
budgets and
Nice.
financial planning. So it just kind of works a little bit easy, but just making sure like our funds are aligning with resources, programs, projects, all that are going to directly impact the students' learning. And that's my biggest thing, of course, is being adaptable. We want to make sure that we're using kind of data-driven decision making when it comes to it, especially for, I guess, the big complex budgeting,
Sure.
of course.
Sure.
But then also, at the end of the day, a lot of it is taxpayer money. And so I want to know where my tax dollars are going, as does many other people. And so being transparent on the budget, what's going where we're allocating certain funds, kind of steps back to a little bit of the trust thing, is being able to be transparent about the budget and why we are putting funds towards a certain curriculum or program or project is going to help just build that overall trust within everybody. So
Yeah. We only have 2 questions left, if you can believe it. It's just wild. Time flies when you're having fun.
Oh, yeah.
What is your stance on student mental health and wellness initiatives? It seems to be something that, a lot of folks are talking about, trying to work towards. But when you think about that, Mason, in connection to the school district and this opportunity that you have to potentially get elected to the school board, how would you answer that?
Mental health overall is very essential for success for students. They have to be in the right headspace. They have to be socially and emotionally there. And so it's about providing resources to the students, to staff, teaching staff how to identify certain things. It is a very hard topic for a lot of people, unfortunately. And so like being able to kind of reduce that stigma between it. And so, unfortunately, when I was in high school, I lost a class member due to suicide. And so nobody predicted it. You couldn't see it coming. And so being able to do our best to see things before it's too late is very important.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I agree. The more we can try to remove stigmas around things like mental health, and this is just me talking, not running for office, just asking questions. But I do feel like, and I think over the last several years, it's gotten better, whether it's locally, as a society, people feeling more comfortable to talk about things. And that's what I would say to those at home as well. You should have hopefully someone you can talk to and not feel shame for doing so. And it seems like in last year and a half or so, I will just say as a community, there's been a lot of good initiatives, Make It Okay Muscatine, Michaela's Hope, et cetera. And I know that there'll be some kind of parallels to the school district. I don't want to get off on a tangent, but I do think it's important, and I'm glad that it's something that we're talking about.
Yeah.
All right, last question. Told you.
All right,
You
here
blink
we
and
go.
it goes fast. Mason, how will you evaluate the effectiveness of your service on the board if elected? Again, election day coming up November 4th. You can vote early if you so choose. But how would you look at that if you find yourself fortunate to be elected to the Muscatine Community School District Board of Education?
It's very important to self-reflect all the time. And so just kind of one way to do it as a whole group of board members, because at the end of the day, we're all working together as a team. And so I would hope there would be a lot of check and balances between each other in a very respectful way. And so it's about just comparing what the school's goals are and kind of what we set as a group if we're working towards those goals and we're seeing the progress, then we're doing something right, of course. And then just reflect how everybody's working together, everybody's focused, and we're keeping everybody's best interest at hand. Just from a individual standpoint, I take constructive criticism very well. Like if I do something, please let me know. I will correct it immediately.
Sure.
And so it's about like seeking feedback from other board members, the community, students, staff, teachers, everybody, and just like making continuous improvements. I'm a big learner, so I didn't like school, but now I love school. And so I'm always willing to just learn, adjust, and grow based on any feedback or changes that are overall needed at the end of the day. So I think that would be the best way for us to evaluate.
Good job. Well, I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
As I've said to some of the other folks, I think all of them, I feel like people that are in office or seeking boards, council, whatever, it takes a lot to put yourself out there. So thank you for doing that. And we'll remind folks at home, again, the whole goal of this has been for you to get to know candidates better so that whether you're voting ahead of Election Day or on November 4th, you feel informed at the polls. I think it's personally important to feel like an informed and empowered voter, and that's what we've been trying to do here. So thank you again.
I appreciate everything you're doing.
Yeah, thank
This is
you.
nice.
Mason Kopf, running for Muscatine Community School District Board of Education. Again, Election Day coming up November 4th, and you've been watching another installment of the GMCCI Advocacy Podcast, Meet the Candidates, airing on MPW TV channels 5 and 9, YouTube, social media. Try to get it in as many places as possible. And we will be back with more candidates very soon. So thank you for watching, and bye.